All right, well, hello everybody. Welcome to the latest Techstars Inside Sustainability Roundtable. We host these discussions roughly every 6 weeks or so, and really aim to explore a theme in the world of sustainability and climate change. We try to follow a similar format each time, which is sort of a 25 to 30 minute main discussion, and then another 25 or 30 minutes of small roundtable discussions in breakout rooms where you get a chance to meet each other. So if this is your first time joining us for one of these, welcome, and hope that you enjoy the experience. And if you've been to these before, welcome back. By being here today, you're on the list, so you'll get invitations to future Techstars sustainability roundtables and events. And hopefully some of you got a chance to use the networking feature of Hopin before the event. It's pretty cool. We've done these on different platforms before. We used Hopin for our Techstars Sustainability Summit a few weeks ago and got a lot of good feedback on it. So we decided to bring it back for these events. And the networking feature is pretty cool. We'll have it open for 30 minutes after the event too. It's just a fun way to get randomly paired up for short one-to-one conversations with other attendees who are here today. So with that, I'm Cody Simms. I'm Techstars Senior Vice President of Climate and Sustainability. My role here at Techstars is really to support the nearly 200 portfolio companies we have at Techstars that are working on climate and sustainability related businesses, problems, et cetera. And then also to look for new investment opportunities for us in this broad and massively critical and very fast growing and exciting space, and very important space. If you're unfamiliar with Techstars, we are the worldwide network that helps entrepreneurs succeed. Today, across our whole portfolio, we have a global portfolio of about 2,500 startups that have gone through a Techstars accelerator. And those companies have collectively have a market cap collectively of over $44 billion. So really working to start as early stage startups and grow and expand beyond there and make a real difference in the world. In today's Inside Sustainability Roundtable, I'm so thrilled to get a chance to have Martin Valenti. In addition to having a lovely personality, which you'll soon get a chance to see, Martin is the head of climate enterprise and the COP26 champion at the Scottish Enterprise, which is a non-departmental public body of the Scottish government that encourages economic and innovation. Martin's been working at the intersection of climate and government for much of his career, and I'm thrilled to learn from him today. We're going to learn a ton about what's going on both with COP26 and also how Scotland is leading the way and what startups can learn in terms of working with a governmental organization. But just a little housekeeping before we welcome Martin up here. A few things from Techstars to have your eye on. One is the Techstars Sustainability Challenge Net Zero. That has applications open now. This is an equity-free challenge from Techstars. It's not an accelerator program. It's 100% focused on helping startups land business development opportunities, such as pilots and proof of concepts with our various challenge partners. And the theme is all around technologies that help companies achieve their net zero goals, including specifically technologies around the decarbonization of industry, such as cement, steel, et cetera, carbon removal and storage, and carbon accounting and measurement, because you can't reduce what you can't measure. Partners in the challenge include organizations like Project Drawdown, AWS, Shopify, Cargill, Equinor, and many others. And again, it's all about helping startups land business development and pilot relationships with those partners. All startups are welcome to apply. And again, it's equity free. It's not an accelerator. There's very little time commitment. If you're already a Techstars portfolio company, you actually don't need to formally apply. We'll follow up with more details so you can learn more. And anyone can read more about it at challenge.techstars.com/netzero. Another thing to mention is the Techstars Climate Tech podcast, which continues to go strong. I co-host that with my colleague Hannah Davis. You can find that on iTunes, Spotify, or really wherever you listen to podcasts. The most recent episode is all about what it means to electrify everything, and it features Andrew Beebe from Obvious Ventures. So give that a listen. And then finally, if you are a venture or an investor or an angel looking to learn more about investing in climate tech companies, we've teamed up again with the online climate school Terra.do and are helping them offer their next version of Climate Change for VCs program. It's an immersive 6-week program designed to help you meet other climate investors, learn more about climate change, and help you get comfortable as you construct your climate tech portfolio. You can learn more about that at the Terra.do website and look for the Climate Change for VCs and Investors course. And with that, let's actually get this started. Welcome, Martin. Come on up here. And we will dive in. Awesome. Martin, how are you today?
I'm fantastic, Cody. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for joining us. So I'm just going to dive right in. My first question for you is, we're going to get into your background. We're going to get into all sorts of stuff around COP26 and everything. But what I want to hear first is, tell me about Scotland. I've never been to Scotland, and I clearly need to fix that. Hopefully this fall during COP26 in Glasgow. But I guess my first question for you is, how did Scotland get to be a model for progressive climate policy, particularly as it relates to climate and innovation?
It's a fantastic question. And the first thing I'll do is I'll make a promise to try and speak clearly and slowly because Scottish people have a reputation for speaking very fast and very garbled. We don't all sound like Sean Connery or Shrek, I'm afraid. So I will do my very best to try and be understood. But if at any point you don't get it, just put your hand up and I'll go back and rewind. It's an easy question to answer because since the beginning of time, Scotland has been a nation of deep, deep innovators. Some of the things that you'll know about your TV and your penicillin and insulin and the steam engine and all of those fantastic inventions, the combustion engine, the bicycle, I could go on all day long, was invented in Scotland by Scots, Alexander Graham Bell, John Logie Baird, Kelvin. The main reason why I think Scotland's got such a progressive approach is it's payback time, because we gave the world, whether it wanted it or not, was 3 industrial revolutions, in the 17th, 18th century. And whilst it was a great economic boost and a great enlightenment for our education and our health systems and our healthcare and all of that stuff, there was some recalcitrant challenges left behind. So the emissions from some of the big industry have caused major climate change challenges around the world. So there's something about, we gave the world 3 industrial revolutions. The 4th industrial revolution will come from Scotland, and it will be predicated on resolving some of the issues the last 3 left behind. So that's the payback time for the first part. The second part is the current economic system through which everyone measures success, be that GDP or GVA or some other acronym. It's very slightly skewed. In fact, sometimes it's very dreadfully skewed because we don't all live in a prosperous world because of some of the economics. And that economic system that the world uses was invented by a Scot, Adam Smith, who gave the great Enlightenment book, The Wealth of Nations. Now, if you go and digest that, and lots of people who have done academic research know The Wealth of Nations is, it's a master's and a doctorate degree right there, just even understanding, trying to tease out what success really looked like. But here we are in 2021, and the world, is it an equal place? No. Do some people have a really tough time? Yep. Do some people have negative consequences from the wealth of the North? Yep. So it's payback time. So there's something about being Scottish and having COP26, which I know we'll get into, on our doorstep in 158 days' time for Scotland to say to the world, this is our chance to recreate and reinvent what an economic system should deliver. And it is, and the good news is, it's everything Techstars do. So this is not, I was going to say a coming of age, but it sounds like you guys have been around for a long time, but this is the reason Techstars exists. Never before has the world understood that the economy and the environment is the same endeavor. So I think businesses working in that net zero space are the absolute, you're in the right place, because businesses who fail to realize the transition to net zero, I'm afraid won't be here probably this time in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And I don't say that glibly because no one likes to lose a business that they've worked hard at. But this is why we speak about climate opportunity. Lots of nations speak about climate emergency, yeah, but we're going to speak about climate opportunity. We're going to be the pioneers in that story. So I'm really interested to get into conversation now about COP26 and some of the big opportunities that we can work on together.
I love it. And maybe for those who don't know, or they've heard a bit about it, but don't really know exactly what it is. What is COP26?
Yeah.
What are the key agenda items on the table this year? And I guess, why does this year's COP summit feel like an especially big deal? I mean, this is an annual thing, obviously, minus last year's because of the pandemic. But it just feels like there's a ton of expectation this year, particularly on COP26. It almost feels like the most anticipation since Paris, which was, what was that, COP15, I think, or no? Yeah, like, maybe explain a little bit about the backstory there too.
I think Paris was COP21 in 2015. That's what it is.
21,
So
yeah.
COP just stands for Conference of Parties, and as the number would suggest, this is the 26th, so there's been 25 before. 24 of them, abject failure, because what you get is you get 200 world leaders coming to a room to discuss mutual benefit. Now, if you think about COVID, the current pandemic, just as an example, we've never realized more than now we need to rely on each other. So I can do what I can help you by staying at home and abiding by the rules and wearing masks and getting vaccines and not coming to your country and contaminating, etc. So there's something about human beings, and I don't want to get all philosophical, but you're very much driven to be independent. But this is the time we need to be codependent. We need to think about how to work with each other like never before, and it's forcing us to. It's actually exposing quite a lot of weaknesses in our psyche. Now, climate change is an economic opportunity of a scale that's never been fully understood until now. It is hugely exciting, hugely exciting. Climate change is often sold as a cliff edge, but well, it's actually not a cliff edge, it's a mountain. So it's equally dangerous, it's fraught with danger, but it's exciting. People like climbing mountains. There's a spirit of endeavor when you think about, I want to climb that mountain, and it's so exciting and it's dangerous, but I'm going to do it. There's something about, if climate change is constantly sold here as a cliff edge, as Climageddon, it's no surprise why people don't want to get involved in it. Why would they? Because it just sounds, so it's like that fear paralyzes people, whereas hope mobilizes. That's a buzzword I want us to stick to. So COP21 in Paris was the one that bucked the trend, because the previous COPs were about Germany and United Kingdom and the US and China all getting together going, well, somebody should do something about climate change, and your country should change its economy. I don't really want to change yours because theirs is smashing, but I think you need to change yours. And people will go, well, hold on a minute. Actually, I think you need to change. And what you had was combat. Now, I'm no military expert, but I'm pretty sure that at the end of a combat, there's casualties. Now, what is the point in that in the 21st century? What's the point of a intelligent species like humans just fighting about who's to blame? Let's stop that now and think about who we can partner with rather than who we can blame. So Cristiana Figueres, now it could be just a coincidence that it was a woman, but I don't think so. I think there's a massive opportunity that we need to think about here for COP26, is that the 24 COPs, all men, all discussing who needs to lose to tackle climate change, failed. Paris changed the whole narrative into, so what do we have to gain collectively from collaborating on climate change? Global agreement, first of its kind in the world, spectacular. And had we didn't have Brexit, COVID, and certain politicians who are climate deniers in the world, I don't want to get political here, but we kind of went back a few years. That's changed now. Now suddenly you have the whole world saying, we'll all benefit from tackling climate change, so we're going to have to do this together. So COP26 is so important because this is our last chance saloon. I think I'm going to quote John Kerry, sticking with the cowboy and the westerns, is that this is their last chance saloon. Glasgow is the place where we have to show the world that our economic future will only come from protecting and enhancing our environment rather than messing with it and depleting it and mess. That just doesn't make sense. And here's a stat that's quite alarming. If everyone in the world lived like we like to live in Scotland, we would need 3 planets. Now, the last time I checked, it was just the one. So you get a major over demand on supply, and that just doesn't work. What you end up getting then is negative feedback mechanisms. We're seeing that with forest fires in the US. We're seeing forest fires in Scotland. Yes, we had forest fires in Scotland. You couldn't make it up. And we're starting to see that feedback mechanism. So COP26, 158 days from now, Cody, the world will come and we'll see a nation on its toes solving problems, not a nation on its knees crumbling against the challenge.
That's amazing, and yeah, you're right. It really is the first time in since Paris that everyone's at the table, in an authentic way, right? Which will feel hopefully momentous, and hopefully we can get a lot done. What is this? And by the way, I absolutely love your analogy about hope. I've been on a soapbox lately that with the climate, sort of doomsday stories don't help anybody. It's all, we need to tell the stories of what a decarbonized future can look like and get people motivated and excited, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that
Inspire
feels,
people. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So, getting onto the conference a little bit, what is the actual structure? Obviously we've got a lot of entrepreneurs here, a lot of startups. Will there be opportunities for climate startups to meaningfully advance their businesses during the proceedings? Or will this feel more like a, kind of, I don't know, a formal invite only, sort of bureaucratic UN event? Or will it feel more like Web Summit or South by Southwest, or kind of a mishmash of the two? I guess, should startups, and investors
Yeah.
be blocking time on their calendar for November, or maybe even booking flights to Glasgow? Like, what does the actual physicality of the event feel like?
I think we'll start with the very good news. The very good news is that you and I now speak to each other, so you can help bring the opportunity to the venue. One of the things I'll say is that the conference of parties are very. There's a zone called the Blue Zone, which is run by the United Nations, which is where the world leaders Joe Biden and Boris Johnson and Nicola Sturgeon will hang out and chat about stuff. Fine. The really cool things happen in the Green Zone. The Green Zone is where the world, academia, investors, businesses, activists, social, everybody comes together and says, and they kind of act as this ambition loop. I'm going to do my diagram here. The people in the Blue Zone are going, I wonder if the world's up for change. I wonder if people really get climate change. Do they, I mean, will they vote us in if we're being bold, or will they vote us out if we're being scared? And I wonder what the vibe is. And then they look out and see the Green Zone. And the Green Zone is like, go, go, go. Don't wait to be shamed into doing good. Just do good, because doing good is good for business. We know that by now. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the only businesses that will be successful in the 21st century are those who work in harmony with the environment. You can't constantly take from the well without contributing. Otherwise, you end up with a dry well and a dead business. And there's a great saying, I think it was, I can't remember, some fantastic person said that there's little point in having a thriving business on a dead planet. So if you think about the Green Zone, it becomes this ambition loop, it becomes a conscience. So you will hear such a euphoric roar of get on with it to the people in the Blue Zone saying, look, Joe Biden, Boris Johnson, don't worry about my sensitivities, crack on, because we want to be part of that future. Entrepreneurs, by definition, solve problems. So the single greatest economic challenge, the existential threat to our way of life, is also the biggest economic opportunity you and I and everyone on this call will ever embrace. So to bring you to this table, let's just agree to do it. So what we'll say is that when Glasgow, the COP26 event, we've got this massive big arena, this climate innovation and investment forum. Let's make sure that I work with you and that we have Techstars in Glasgow showcasing the very, very best of some of the fantastic stuff that you're doing. And wouldn't it be great if those 2,500 startups that you supported, if you could find some way to, so this is the task for you. So if you can try and agglomerate, what's the economic and environment, you mentioned the economic impact, 40 odd billion pound, that was amazing. Wonder what the environmental impact would be of that tech army. So what would that look like? Would that be 100 million emissions a year taken out the planet by growing our economy? And there's one last thing I want to say, and you don't hear it often from Scots because we are quite a humble race, apart from me, I like to show off. But one country in the world cut its emissions faster than any other country in the G20 and at the same time grew its economy: Scotland.
Awesome.
So we grew our economy and cut our emissions faster than any other country in the G20. That is unbelievable. And here we are today sitting, and we've reduced our emissions by 50% since 1990. It's staggering. And we are well on track for smashing our target of net zero by 2045. It'll probably be 2035.
Awesome. So, yeah. I mean, amazing. And I just heard you basically say that we want to have a Techstars and Scottish enterprise sort of big invitation at COP26. So let's do it. Everyone everyone on the call here, start thinking about how we're gonna pull together let's do it.
And here's my big hint. The big hint is that I want to be demonstrating to the world these are businesses who aren't afraid of disruption. They embrace disruption. These are businesses that are saying, you know what, world, I'm going to create something and you're going to love it. What is the point in trying to incrementally improve systems that people don't want anymore? Why would you try and open a video shop in a high street when everyone's streaming movies? There's something about we need to be creating the new world, which is so exciting, which will be 100% net zero very soon. And it won't be a miserable world that sometimes Greta Thunberg and people would try and shame businesses into, down with that sort of thing. We think you guys, well, I don't subscribe to that, to be quite honest. Well done for raising the profile.
Yeah.
But there's no point in saying your house is on fire and standing with a placard. We need to put the fire out. So what I'm looking for now is young people to pick up the mantle and just crack on and be entrepreneurial in their thinking and come forward with some solutions. So maybe that's the start of. So that was my big hint. It's the businesses we want there are ones that are saying we're smashing it, we're breaking tradition, we're going with solutions.
Movements are led with hope and vision, right? Like hope. and absolutely. You look back at every move. You look back at Martin Luther King. You look back at sort of you name it. It's people leading visions with hope.
It is indeed.
So let's get back to you a little bit. Like what? Maybe explain just for a few, like the work you do helping Scotland advance climate policy. What is the Scottish Enterprise and how do you help climate and sustainability startups?
There is ecosystems that exist in nations. Every nation's got one. The US will have one. Every nation's got one. Scotland's ecosystem is you have a regulatory agency, you have economic agencies, you have nature agencies, and then you have Quangos, which is just non-departmental public bodies who's, like Zero Waste Scotland and the Energy Savings Trust. These are all fantastic. What my job is, I'm trying to join all these jigsaw pieces together so that you get this one version of success. And that version of success for Scotland at COP26, I can describe in 3 sentences, but it's fully aligned. So that's what my job is, trying to bring nature, the economy, the environment together to make sure that when we're speaking about going for success, it's one version of that. And there's a game, I think in the States it's called Chutes and Ladders, and in Scotland it's called Snakes and Ladders. I think very often businesses are faced with a snakes and ladders board to get to 100. You go up a ladder, you go down a snake. And so what we're trying to say to investors is, come to Scotland, we've just got ladders. So if you think about a really, really good idea, the nature agency will say, listen, here's some nature-based solutions you can use. The Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, you call it, the EPA isn't standing saying, yeah, that's not going to work. They're saying, yeah, I've got a great idea. Let's create some new license type of flexible licenses so that we can crack on and be ahead of the game. And then you have the likes of my agency, the Economic Agency, who says we need to be shaping an economy that supports net zero transition, doesn't inhibit it. So that when you're speaking to someone in Scottish Enterprise or South of Scotland Enterprise or Highland and Island Enterprise, the free enterprise agencies in Scotland, but they basically work as one, which is, what's your idea? How do you need support? Is it going to solve problems? Is it going to save the planet? Is it going to create jobs? Does it build economies in areas that you need them, like in rural economies? And that's the whole idea. So we work as this one big ecosystem, and it's easy to do in Scotland because it's quite a small country, but one big ecosystem that just wraps itself around an ambition and goes for it. And my job is running around trying to make sure everyone's connected.
And I think one of the things that I really love about startups working in this space is it's not a developer sitting in their basement growth hacking their way to 1 million users like kind of a traditional software company. It's all about collaboration, right? You're working with legacy industry to help legacy industry change their ways, find new ways of doing what they do, but in a more sustainable or in a net zero way. Maybe talk a little bit about the work you do helping startups connect with industrial players and what you've learned from those interactions, both in terms of how startups can be more effective working with industrial players and also how industrial players can be more effective working with startups.
You've actually just nailed it. You nailed the whole thing. It's collaboration. There's something about startups and entrepreneurs And it's a balance, is how do I socialize what I do to get partners and interest, but without socializing too much that I get competition. So that's a really, really tricky space, is that I need to tell you about this fantastic invention, but if I do, the chances are you could run off and steal it. But I do need that partner to help me take it to the next level. The one thing I would say about entrepreneurs is that you are the heroes of the piece, because you're not scared, you're relentless in pursuit. You constantly come across barriers, but you smash through them, and that's something that the public sector and the private sector, that's where they differ. Public sector generally are people, and they're going to get annoyed when I say this, but they're generally people who have fantastic vision, great strategy, but not very good at execution and delivery. Businesses are amazing at delivery and execution. They just get on with it, but they're not so good at long-term strategy and vision. So if we can bring these worlds together, and we absolutely need to, then suddenly what you get, instead of getting combat, is you get collaboration. And people see that entrepreneurs coming up with simple ideas, and I'm going to show you one in a second. I've got a prop here. We've got a phenomenal university sector in Scotland, and we've got innovation centres that support the universities. And there was someone who was at the James Hutton Institute, James Hutton was a famous geologist, and we've got this brilliant institute in Scotland that does groundbreaking work. And I mean, it's state of the art, it's spook technology, the stuff they do. And this lady decided that, the world needs gin, so people like to drink gin. And wouldn't it be good if we could make gin that was carbon neutral? But actually, wouldn't it be good if we could make gin that's carbon positive? Nadar gin, which is Gaelic for nature, and this gin is actually carbon positive. So the production of this improves the environment. It's staggering. So what you're getting now is you're getting people that are saying, I know people want to be drinking gin, they want to be drinking whiskey, they want to be driving cars, they want to be going on holiday. How do I help them do that in a way that's good for the environment, good for the economy, and good for the ecological balance? And every business I speak to every single day, including about a dozen today, Cody, these are people that don't need convincing anymore. They're just saying, see the people that still argue about, is it the environment, is it the economy? Forget about them. Don't waste your breath trying to convince people that gravity exists. Be an entrepreneur and just crack on and solve problems, create products, develop markets, and go for it. And there's something about what I would love to see, and I know it's difficult, is for some of the bigger businesses to just kind of take a punt a bit more with the smaller businesses and say, do you know what? That seems like a kind of wacky idea, like that was. Why don't we use peas instead of barley? Peas are nitrogen fixing. They actually improve the soil when you grow them rather than degrade it. So there was something, and that was just one person that thought, wouldn't it be a good idea if we thought about this? And now that's a global product going around the world. Fantastic. So growing your business and saving the planet are not mutually exclusive. These are, if you can set your business into a purpose space like that, you are on a winner. And at COP26, we want to know about you. So
how confident are you that the current, there's obviously a move right now, a political movement, a financial movement toward net zero, toward sustainability. How confident are you that that is here to stay? I mean, climate change should not be political. It sadly has been political for a long time. We had a bunch of big news yesterday about how big oil is often now facing some reconciliation for some of what they've pushed for. And we work with oil companies at Techstars and energy companies, and they are legitimately trying to lean into innovation in many ways. How much do you think we've gone over the hump now, or is there a chance for backlash?
There's always a chance for backlash, but that takes us back to the past of combat. What we need is more collaboration. So for me, we know in US and Scotland know more than any other country that and we call it an unjust transition, and I'll explain. We stayed to the coal sector back in the 70s and the 80s. Actually, transpires you guys are quite bad because you're causing a lot of pollution, so you need to leave. And they did. But the problem was when they left intergenerational unemployment, social, economic, environmental decline, major environmental degradation. The heart and soul had been ripped out of former mining towns and villages. And you think about the social issues about mental health. It's actually almost idiotic to think that the world would repeat that. So what we would need to do is we need to stop with the placard waving about down with that sort of thing and engage with those sectors about the future for oil and gas. So the future for oil and gas is the technology, the skills, the passion, the creativity, the finance, the infrastructure. It's all there. All we have to do is stop fighting with them and
Yeah.
try and bring some solutions. So if you think about that, the Nadar gin that I keep showing you is that was previously production of alcohol, pure spirits like that, quite carbon intensive. Well, it needn't be anymore.
Right.
That's the thing. So what we're saying is, and there's some things, as I'll use my regulatory hat here, there's a technique called BAT, best available technique. Every business in the world operates to BAT. So if you have the largest drinks company in the world, Diageo, for example, operating at BAT, they don't need to do anything else. They can say, well, we're doing everything we can. But actually, when you speak to people at Diageo, they're just like us. They're going, yeah, but I'm quite keen to do more. But the minute I try and do it, someone stands with a placard saying, down with that sort of thing. So that's not sensible.
Right.
It's not grown up. It's not mature. So what we're saying is, if the oil and gas sector and the landfilling sector and the mining sector, whatever sector it is that actually has a proper ambition to be here in some form in the future, for the love of everything, come and work with us, because we want to make sure that we transition with you, not transition you out, because it's a Scottish saying, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, so
I
I
love
just
it.
leave that one.
Well, Martin, I think that's sort of where we are at time, and it's just an amazing call for collaboration, a call
Yeah.
for working toward the future, a call for hope, which is my favorite message of yours today, and a call for how innovators really can pave the way and can show people who are making decisions and policymakers, that there is an exciting sort of entrepreneurial movement and a future giant wave of business growth that's happening in this sector.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the final thing is sounds like we're all going to Scotland. So
You're very welcome.
let's look for November, and you and I will follow up offline and figure out what we can do there to really help the Techstars network show how much entrepreneurial innovation is happening, and hopefully open some eyes and get some people really excited and inspired together.
Yeah, can't wait to do that. It's going to be fantastic. And the last thing I would say is that you can try and manipulate outcomes, or you can try and inspire them. Manipulation has been happening for 50 years, and we're still in a climate emergency. So let's park that and say, well, that didn't work, and just focus now on inspiring people towards the outcome, because that is where you're seeing people working together. That's the collaboration space for me. And I think Scotland, and you would expect me to say this, is the best country in the world to do that, because of those reasons I mentioned at the intro. It's payback time. We hit the jackpot twice on our geology with coal and oil. This is their third. Our next jackpot is our geography, using wind, wave, and tidal. It's so exciting to be here in Scotland, speaking to guys like yourself. But please come over for Glasgow, for COP, whatever way you can. And when you get here, let's show the world what entrepreneurs are all about.
So that's really what we have. Again, just a reminder of the Techstars Sustainability Challenge for Net Zero, which is at challenge.techstars.com/net zero. The Techstars Climate Tech Podcast, and the Terra.do Climate Change Program for venture investors and angels that you can find on the Terra.do website. And applications for that are due on June 4th, so coming right up if that's something you're interested in. We'll be back here again with our next roundtable on July 15th. We'll send RSVPs for that closer to the date. And really, thanks again, everybody. It sounds like hopefully we'll be getting together in some way, shape, or form for those who are able to do so in Glasgow at COP26. We'll have to figure out all the details on that, but stay tuned. And thanks to Martin for the generous invite. It sounds like we'll be working out something really exciting and cool there. And it's just such a pleasure to get to engage with each of you. We're all so grateful here at Techstars. Together we can really make a difference that matters. And that's all for us until next month. So enjoy the networking time.